Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Really excited to record this next episode because I feel like the mindset shift episodes, the one that I just did about the 6 phrases we need to ditch and swap, has gotten a lot of positive feedback. And when I work with clients, yes, I help them with their nutrition, but if we're not fixing what's going on in their head, it's going to be a really less than enjoyable process. So we make sure that we're always paying attention to why they want to make these change, what's important to them, and how are they feeling throughout the whole time, and how are they speaking to themselves? Because the last thing I want is for someone to get to a certain number on a scale that they've been working on for years and they thought it was going to literally change their life, and now they're somehow still feeling unsatisfied, unfulfilled, and unhappy. And that is not the goal. My goal is for people to be happy right now, regardless of the size that they're at. And when they get to that goal, if weight loss is a goal for them, to celebrate the heck out of it because they worked really hard and everything that they did to get there aligned with their values. And so I always make sure that we're addressing the mindset, because if we're not, like I said, they're going to be forever disappointed. So this episode is actually about something that I learned in therapy just recently. And it's interesting because I've been working with my therapist. We just switched to every other week, but I was seeing her every week for almost 2.5 years. And I've talked about this before on other podcasts, so I apologize for those who are my hardcore listeners. Shout out to you, appreciate you, love you. I know you've listened to every episode, so you're probably tired of hearing me talk about this. But if you're new, then you don't know that I'm a huge advocate for getting help for your mental health and for taking care, just like you take care of your body by eating well and going to the gym and exercising and all of those things and sleeping and all that. We need to take care of our mental health too. We need to be aware of why it is that we do these certain things, our habits, our behaviors, what triggers us, our emotions. And it's so much easier to be aware of those things and to learn how to manage certain emotions and when we get triggered, when you have the help of a mental health professional. So I choose to work with a therapist. We gel well together. I know some of you, just like you probably haven't had the best experience working with a nutritionist, nutrition coach, even registered dietitian. I apologize. I feel bad. I want to say I apologize. I know it's not my fault. But I hear you when you say that it wasn't a good experience. So I want to just validate that for you. And I understand how hard it is to reach out again for help when you feel like you've tried so many times and maybe you have worked with professionals before, but it just wasn't a good fit. So I hear you. I know that it's challenging. At the same time, I hope that by you hearing me talk about my positive experiences working with a mental health professional and being in therapy for 3 years now, and I went as a child, but being in it now and as an adult on my own, and I went to a family therapist as a child, so this is literally just the therapist solely for me, has been really powerful. And so I say that to say I hope this inspires you to maybe consider reaching out to a mental health professional, but if not, I hope it teaches you something. I'm going to let you guys in on some of my thoughts. So this is like super public and bold, but I believe that there is one of my coaches, my business coaches, he used to say disclosure is disarming, and it's super helpful. So it's true. And I believe that vulnerability is what is what helps us to connect. So I want to connect with you right now. And the only way to do that is to be honest with you. So All right, so here it is. So before I tell you about this technique that I learned about in therapy and how I got on a rant about it's been 3 years, is because it just happened last week. And she's like, of all the techniques we've worked on together, she's like, I don't think I've ever taught this one to you. So anyways, I ramble. So I was talking about in therapy, and as you guys know, I've decided to take a little bit of a break from social media, and it's been really great because it has created the time and space for me to write. But now where I am writing now, and I'm sitting down and I'm getting hooked on my thoughts, and I'm just going to read to you some of the thoughts that come up in my head as I'm writing and what tends to paralyze me in not writing. Like nothing comes out. So now I've created this space where I no longer can procrastinate, and I can no longer say like, oh, I should write a post for Instagram, or I should post this on my story. I've created this space where now at any time outside of coaching my clients and, maybe cooking for myself and cleaning and whatever is literally dedicated to writing the book. So any amount of quote unquote free time I've ever had is now going to writing the book. Now, here's the thing though, if my thoughts keep getting in the way of me physically writing, the book's not going to get done, right? So this happens very often if you're in a health journey and you tell yourself, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to cook healthy. Hello, COVID hit. Everyone had massive amounts of time. And this is no fault if you did not accomplish, cooking more and working out. We were in a pandemic. There's a lot of emotional things, but that's just to make the point that sometimes having the time to do stuff doesn't actually make us do it. Why? Our minds get in the way. Okay. So I've been working on this because I do not want my mind to keep me stuck. I need this book to be out in the world. And although it's a longer process than I had ever anticipated and envisioned, and it's a lot harder than I thought, it's possible. And me staying stuck on these thoughts of it's so hard, it's so impossible, isn't going to get the book written any faster. Okay. So I wanted to share with you some of the thoughts that had come up when I was sitting down to write, or I would maybe even with nothing to do, still procrastinating and still not writing, and working on this through therapy. And so this is although this seems like so superficial, right? So surface of I can't get my book written done, or I can't do my workout. It sounds so like first world problems, right? But when you really get to the root of it, it's like what we all fear, which is, I'll express to you right now, which are these thoughts. But as human beings, we fear success, we fear challenge, we fear failure, we fear a lot of things. Okay, so these are some of those things I have written down, and I keep this actually by me. You can't see me right now, but I'm holding a piece of paper of where I keep it by me to just consistently. Now I intentionally challenge these thoughts in a proactive way rather than like waiting for them to come up and just getting hooked on them. I'm now like kind of reading them every day and being more proactive about like, okay, so this is probably going to come up when I'm writing, but I know to unhook myself, and I'm going to teach you how to do that with this strategy that I learned in therapy. So just giving credit where credit's due. This is not something I came up with. I don't believe it's even something that my therapist came up with. I'm sure if you're a mental health professional, you probably maybe use this with your clients. I'm sure there's some, it's not just me, or it's not just my therapist who uses it, and I'm not the only one she's told to do it. So it's probably a commonplace. But before I tell you what the strategy is, I just want to read some of these thoughts. So a lot of the thoughts I have is, it's so much work, I'm never going to get it done, and I'm not good at this. And to be honest, there's really a strong part of me that feels that way. It is so much work. I feel like it is never ending, and I'm really not good at it. I'm not a writer, right? But that doesn't mean I can't get good at it. But anyways, so these are the thoughts, right? And then I say things to myself like, is it even worth it? Like, what if I'm sorry, I'm going to curse. Like, what if it's shitty? Like, what if it's just not good? Like, what if I spend all of this time and energy and it's just not good, right? And then I'll think things to myself like, should I just give up? when I'm writing, I get really caught up on like, I'm not even making sense, right? And then I start thinking like, people are going to read this and they're not going to understand me, or they're not going to agree with me. And then I get caught up in like, I don't want to offend anyone. So like, although all of these thoughts are valid in the sense that like, yes, I would love to be able to really make sure that everything that I write is well understood. And I want obviously the majority to agree with me, but like having everybody agree with me and everybody liking my book is just an irrational goal. Like there's always going to be people that don't agree, and that's okay, right? And as much as I try to not offend anyone, you know, talking about nutrition and weight and body size and fitness and all of these things that are going to be in the book and relationships, like it's really hard not to offend anyone. As much as I don't want to, I'm going to try really hard not to. And obviously everything that I write is going to get edited to make sure it's said in a way that I hope comes across well and is well received. But I also can't control how people interpret my words. You know, I'm going to create an audio version of the book, but some people, if they're reading it, they might be reading it in the voice that I'm using, or maybe the way that I say something in the audio isn't the way that we're hoping to have it like received or something. I don't know. But the point is that all of these thoughts are just not helpful. Like if we get to the root of it, like, yeah, it's so much work and I feel like I'm never going to get it done, but like I've made a commitment to get it done. I've made a promise to the world, to myself. This has been put on my heart that I'm going to do this. So although I'm quote unquote not good at this, I'm actually getting really good at it. I'm not going to lie. Like I impress myself on the regular about how much better my writing has gotten over the past year since trying to write this. And it actually is getting a little bit easier, but it's not going to be easy if I stay stuck on those thoughts, right? So it's like thinking about with your weight loss journey. You have so much weight to lose, right? You say to yourself, it's so much work. I have so much weight to lose. I'm never going to lose it. And I just don't even know what to do, right? Well, part of that might be true. Maybe you don't know what to do, right? But I didn't know what to do, how to write a book. So I hired a writing coach, right? So you might not know how to work your nutrition. So you hire a dietitian, right? And yeah, it's a lot of weight. Maybe you do have a lot of weight to lose. I work with people who have almost 100 pounds to lose, right? If you have that much weight to lose, it seems like a lot. It's daunting. At the same time, complaining about it and not doing anything about it isn't going to have the weight come off any faster. You still got to put in the work. And the work is not, creating, it's not all or nothing, right? So as much as I have said, me taking a break from social media is a pretty big deal, but I really have wanted to love my clients would never do this to them. And I can't, I make a living this way. So, but I have even thought about I wish I just could have a month where I could just close out the universe and just hide and just write for a straight month. And people do that are professional writers, and that's totally fine. But realistically, I want to have a thriving business while also writing my book. So it just doesn't align with my goals. So it's someone who, if you want to go to this intense wellness camp sort of a situation, you're going to learn some things, you're going to get some stuff done, but if you can't learn to incorporate that in your everyday life, it's probably not going to be sustainable. And so although writing a book and your weight loss journey aren't exactly the same, there are some parallels there. So, and a lot of it is the way that we talk to ourselves. So anyways, I hope I am making sense right now. Anytime I record these podcasts, I don't do notes. And when I do notes, I feel like I sound like a robot and it's not genuine. So here I am, my honest, most authentic self. So those are the thoughts that I've had about the book. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is to write down the thoughts. Maybe it's about the weight that you have to lose. Maybe it's about maybe a workout, right? Maybe you're working on your fitness goals and you're I've never worked out in my life. I don't even know how to start, right? And so you've been working out, but you keep getting caught and hooked on these thoughts, and they're preventing you from getting to your goal, which is getting more fit, right? So whatever goal you have, whenever you notice these thoughts, you are going to unhook yourself. So the way that my therapist had described it is we get hooked, right? So we get hooked. Then we're going to unhook ourselves. So we get hooked, now we need to get anchored. So we need to throw down the anchor, like think about a boat, and we got to unhook ourselves, and we need to get anchored, almost like get grounded, right? So we got to drop the anchor, okay? And now we're going to do, it's called ACE. So hence the title of this podcast, how to ace your goals. I haven't titled it 100% yet, but I know I wanted to do something like that. So how to ace your goals, or how to ace your winning mindset. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but the point is you're going to go through the acronym ACE. So A.C.E. So we get hooked on the thought, and now we need to unhook ourselves, and we want to get anchored. Okay. We want to ground ourselves. So we need to acknowledge the thoughts. So very often, and this can happen also too with body image stuff, we think of a negative thought, right? So, ugh, I hate my stomach. Ugh, I hate my legs. Ugh, I don't like the way that I look today. And we are trying to think more positively about our bodies, right? So the first thing most people do is just quickly dismiss the thought. They just like dismiss it. It's like, no, you look great. You look great. You look great. Or I'm not even going to look in the mirror. Or like, nope. That's not coming in my head. No way. And it seems like an effective strategy, but actually what ends up happening is now those thoughts just come back louder, and you're never really getting to the root, right? So you want to first acknowledge the thought, right? So like how I described earlier, when I think to myself, it's so much work, I'm never going to get it done. I acknowledge that. I'm like, it is a lot of work, but I am going to get it done. Like I am, like, right? And so if a thought comes up about your body, and it's like, oh, wow, it's interesting, because yesterday I actually really loved the way that my body looked. So it's interesting. I wonder where this thought is coming from. Maybe it's just something from my childhood, something from my past. Maybe it's the clothes that I'm wearing. Maybe I'm bloated today, whatever it is. But acknowledge it. Don't completely dismiss it. Just acknowledge it. Get a little curious. Don't spend too much time on that, but get a little curious. And then C, so that acknowledge the thought is A. C is come back to your body. So very often when we're in our head, we're not conscious of our body. So come back to your body. And so for some people, that might just be connecting to your breath or using your senses. So smell, what does a room smell like? If you have food by you or coffee or something, what does it smell like? What do you hear around you? If you're maybe chewing gum or something, what does that taste like? Use your 5 senses. Take a big deep breath and come back into your body and connect. So one thing I actually have been doing with my writing is, when I'm usually writing, and I'm usually sitting while I'm writing. Okay. So when I notice those thoughts come up, I acknowledge them. And then for me to connect with my body, I feel, for me personally, I need to get up a little bit. So I just stand up, take a few deep breaths, shake it out, and then I go to E. So I sit back down, and E stands for engage in what you're doing or who you're with. So you could have these thoughts about your body, and you could not technically be quote unquote doing anything, but you can just be with people and just engage in that, right? So you can have these thoughts about food, like, oh, I shouldn't eat that pasta. It's like, where is that coming from? Oh, that's from my restrictive mindset. Okay, I know I'm not following that anymore. Let me take a few big deep breaths. Let me take a look at my food. And now I'm going to engage in what I'm doing. I'm going to eat, right? So acknowledge the thought, connect to the breath and the body, or come back to your body, really. And then E, engage in what you're doing or who you're with. That is a simple but highly effective mindset shift strategy tool tip. I can't, guys, you don't know, it's late after I just finished coaching all of my clients and recorded a guest episode podcast right before this. So it is late and I have water in front of me and I'm going to sip it because my thoughts go faster than my mouth can pronounce. And then after a very long day of talking, it just comes out like blah, blah, blah. So, but you're still listening and I appreciate you. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Once again, if you're getting stuck or hooked on some thoughts that are not serving you, they are not helping you, remember to get anchored, drop that anchor yourself, and ACE those thoughts. So A, acknowledge the thoughts. C, come back to your body. E, engage in what you're doing or who you're with. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, take a screenshot of it, share it on your story, tag me at tips_with_Tony, that's Tony with an I, or the Tips with Tony podcast, or both. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. Like it, give it a 5-star rating, rate a review, share it with a friend, whatever you feel is in your heart to spread this message, just mindset stuff and health and wellness and really just helping you be the best version of you. I would be so appreciative if you could kind of share this message with someone that you love. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.